Well, we've been talking around the concept of like really leading and the difference between are you leading or are you maintaining type thing, the difference between the skill set of leading at the different levels, whether you're leading tens, 50s, hundreds or thousands, just kind of going through that idea. We've been talking about, it's been in our team at the moment, that there's been this kind of tendency to really, for one of the better words, really coddle and comfort, and definitely has its place. It's been making healthier people, not that coddling makes healthier people, but that was one of the detrimental aspects of it. But there's really not been the same nuance and understanding on how you move people. And so we've been also talking about how we stop, and we're going to talk about these things a little bit more. But before we have a pause next week and actually talk about this subject and open up space for your questions, I wanted to address the skill aspect of this subject. So, okay, you know that you've got to go in and have the tough conversations, right? That's a thing, but well, how do you do that? What's the mentality around some of that? What's the mentality around moving someone? What's the mentality around how long do you commit to someone? How long do you keep trying and they're not moving? What does that look like? What's the fine line between giving up and showing up for someone? And when does all that talk? So I've got 7 thoughts on it, possibly 8. And these are just skill oriented, and then we can, if we get through them quickly, we can do some questions. Cool? So in the subject of actually moving someone, really moving someone, the first thing I would say is ask yourself this question. My point is written this way: set them up, teach. Now, think that there's different styles of teaching, and different environments are probably more suited to specific styles of teaching. I think with what we do, there's a lot of actually on-the-job teaching. You know what I mean? There's hey, this is what we're going to go do. I want you to have a go, and then I'll give you feedback. Because, it's a lot of practicality. It's sitting across from people. It's implementing things. And if you do it all in theory, then it doesn't always really kind of translate, right? And you would write books on this stuff. And I just find at what point do it'd be like a whole degree course. So what we often do is we set people up, we send them out and we teach. And what I've found is that most of the time that someone's afraid with someone, they've skipped, they're about to give up with someone. They're this person's not growing. This person doesn't get it. What they missed is this step, to set them up and teach. Now, my style of teaching is far more retrospective, talking about things and wanting to see what's natural in them and then setting them up, having brief conversations as we go. But what I found is a lot of the time people just don't teach someone. So you're asking them to do something and they have no idea to do. They're not set up to do, and you're giving up on them. And most of the time it comes back to the centralized theme of this subject. Yep, that's good. Subject, which is basically you're too afraid to hurt someone. And because you're too afraid to hurt someone, you don't want to teach them, because teaching implies they don't know. And if you won't teach them though, and you don't stop to do that, honestly, you're going to be, I think it's unfair dismissal, if you will, to get someone out of your team, but you haven't taught them how to do it.
Right.
You haven't set them up. You haven't given them tools. You haven't given them feedback.
Yeah.
Really what that's a reflection of is somebody who won't lead, but actually wants to, by default, inherit healthy teams. So I want to ask you, what does your teaching style look like? Do you know how to teach? And make teaching as simple as this. In fact, we were just talking in the Renée meeting this morning, and we were saying how you can be really good at something and maybe not a good teacher of it. And how we're going to go do a golf hang together, and I was I wonder if can we translate that? Can we help the ones that have never played before actually hit the ball and stuff? And we'll just talk about that concept. And I just came away thinking, I think the art of teaching is in being present in the way that you get results. Most people just do and don't know how they do what they do. When you're actually bringing someone on, what you've got to ask yourself is, how do I do what I do? And how can I teach you how I do it? Now, this first step I find to be so fundamental. Before you allow someone to find themselves in their leadership and their style, help them embrace your style, so they can learn the practice of leadership before they interpret it to their specific gifting. I learned to preach like my pastor before I preach like me. Because if you're learning how to deliver content at the same time as create content, at the same time as hear from God, trust the Holy Spirit, and how to structure it, man, that is a massive, mammoth task. So I wonder if maybe the people you think are failing, you set up for failure.
That's very good.
And maybe they're not unwilling. Maybe they are ignited in different ways. Not everyone. The biggest journey of finding synergy with the people I lead is finding out more about who they are. When I understand the way they process, and honestly, it's usually through raw, not perfect conversation. Hey, I don't know how to say this, I don't have words for it, but this is my best example. I'm finding this, and then all of a sudden they say things like, I'm this kind of a learner, or man, I am fueled by this, I'm motivated by this, or I need this. What you start to do is learn who they are, and this is part of teaching, is don't try fit people into your gaps. Just fit them where they fit.
Yeah. That's good.
Let God bring the right person for your gap.
Yes.
Just fit people where they fit. People out of shape. There's people that have giftings that can lend themselves outside of their specific, skill set. But as you think through your teams, Shireen thinks through kids team, as Brianna thinks through serve teams, as Giselle, all of us, as we're in this, right? And Jack with Renee and like all the different leaders that are in here, you need to start asking yourself, am I making someone fit where they can't fit? Because now you definitely haven't set them up. Like, are they made for where you're trying to get them to play? And honestly as well, understand this. It is not one element alone or three elements that make you play in a position. It's a combination of elements. So just because they're great people, like maybe they've got 3 out of the 10 gifts needed, that's not enough. But you don't know that if you don't know the gifts needed because you don't know how you get it to work. Know how you get it to work and you will do much better with setting them up. So my first thing is set them up. Teach. And part of setting them up is this. Set them up with a grace period. There has to be a grace period that is, proportionate to their experience. If they've never done it, understand that. Don't put goals for them to go to full strength in 3 months if they've never even done the work. You know what I mean? Make realistic goals and you'll help people grow better. You can overload someone and stunt and kill their growth. So set them up, teach. What does that also mean? I do this. Like one of the skill set things I do is if I know I'm going to teach you something, I make you walk with me. And instead of simply thinking my thoughts, I teach my thoughts. So I'll sit there and I'll go, a few weeks ago, I grabbed the events team and I said, do any of you, the music was off. Adam was doing something, Gio was doing something. I needed to turn to someone. I could have retrospectively fed it back to them, but I was like, the events team's right here. And I felt like I forgot this principle in my leadership. I forgot what it's like to take people with me and walk the building and tell them what I see. You got to teach people to see like you see if you want them to value what you value and build it like you want it built. So I stopped to them and I said, hey, do any of you understand, who here feels comfortable and understands music? No one. Okay, that's okay. Do you understand sound? No. I'll teach you. Let's start with this. Forget theory for a minute and tell me if you feel this sounds good or this doesn't sound good. Okay, this is what we're looking for. Note this instrument should be here, this frequency should be here, this is the general overview of how this would go. We're not experts, but from the front, what we can tell is that if it's kind of muddy meaning you can't really discern or hear the different instruments, it's probably because there's a lot of bass. And the bass can drown out and cause everything other And just having a conversation, by the end of it, in the weeks to come, I could come back to them and they'd all say, oh, yeah, I think this, or I think this. You're building someone's confidence, and when they have confidence, this is what the number one thing they do, which most of us want. People with confidence contribute.
Right, yes.
And if you teach them, and you set and you pour in, right, this is my rule in leadership. I just don't want people to fail because of me.
Yeah. It's good.
I will often keep someone in leadership not because they're doing well, but because I haven't done well enough.
Yeah.
That's right.
If I haven't given you everything you need, I can't call it quits on you just yet.
Right.
Not out of a moral thing, but out of I've left something on the table.
Yeah.
And there's been too many times that, here's the thing, if you're going to build outside of your skill set, which can I encourage you just to throw away, this is a quick one, build with your skill set and the opposite of your skill set. Most people don't build their skill set. People will favor one of the two extremes. People and pastors and leaders will often replicate more people like themselves and now have a gap in their weakness. They've never staffed it. Or they'll only replicate their weakness and have a gap in their strength and can never walk away from it. So don't think just because you bring a gift to the table, you don't have to replicate that gift.
Yeah.
Because that means you will always have to sit at that table.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So you need to get good at both replicating your weakness and replicating your strength. The strength is easier to replicate because you think like that. But the weakness is a language you have to learn to talk.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't want to leave anything on the table is too many times as I'm building the opposite of my strength, I go, oh wait, I don't think like that. Lucky we pressed. 6 months, I was about to give up on you, but 6 months into this now, you are one of the best leaders that we have. It's so important to set them up, teach. Walk
Very
with
good.
them, tell them what you're thinking, tell them why you're thinking, tell them how it works. Can I just say this? This will require you not to be a lazy leader. Because a lazy leader will just tell people to do something. An intentional leader will tell them why they do it that way.
Yes.
Number 2 is this. Did it hit home? Don't just spray feedback, but did it hit home? Did they get
That's
it?
really good.
If they don't get it,
That's really good.
you gotta go back to it. Because at the end of the day, what I think matters is, can you learn to speak their language in order to teach them yours? And when we often have conversations, I say things like this. Here's a good line is, hey, did that sound true to you? Hey, tell me what in your version, what do you think we're aiming at? Okay, so do you feel comfortable with this? What are you gonna do as we walk away from this?
That's really good.
Just little things to go, did it hit home? And then I ask things like, do you see why this is important? Tell me why you think this matters.
That's really good.
The matters question isn't the execution question. The matters question is, do you get the scope of what you're about to do and carry? Do you know? Especially if you're actually talking about character, or if you're talking about value systems that are in deep values of our team and church. You gotta ask, did this hit home? You gotta know that it got there. You know what I mean? And make sure that if it didn't, you spend time to get it to hit home.
That's good.
And overall, at the end of the day, maybe once you've done all these things, we're going to end with one last little mantra, but that's that. Third thing is this: build chemistry, look for chemistry, value chemistry, don't move without chemistry. Build chemistry, look for chemistry, value chemistry, don't move without chemistry. This is one that I think heaps of leaders stuck in the realm of being a really good, I'm gonna love you till you get better, but don't actually take you to greener pastures. That same mentality struggles with the chemistry thing because it's we all gotta love everyone, don't we? We love everyone, but we don't vibe with everyone.
Right.
And the problem is, if you are finding that you're struggling to show up to your team meeting, they're probably struggling too. Chemistry is crucial because chemistry reduces the amount of explaining you have to do about intention and heart because you get it.
That's good.
That's good.
Chemistry means that you could also hang and not just work together. Chemistry is like the money in the bank. That means every time you got to teach, correct, work hard, sprint,
Yes.
do difficult seasons, chemistry is the glue that holds all of that together. Chemistry is somewhere in between spirit and culture. Chemistry is this thing where you don't even have to have interests, but you can have chemistry. There can be a vibe there. Most leaders don't move or value chemistry, and then they wonder why their team meetings are tough work. You gotta over explain things. There's no retention. if you don't have chemistry, can I tell you, it is everything. It's just kind of no different from a dating world. Like, I'm sure you've dated someone that is good looking, smart. There might be 98% of the things on your list, but there's no spark. There's just no chemistry. If there's no chemistry, you gotta understand it's just not gonna work.
Right.
Don't feel guilty that you don't include someone on your team because there is no chemistry.
That's really good.
And when I mean team, I mean the round table that is the leadership team.
Yeah.
Right? You won't always have chemistry with everyone on the greater team, but
Right.
on that team that's responsible for moving together,
Yeah.
man, the best way I could put it is I love playing like soccer with certain people or working with certain people on tasks that are like difficult because there's a chemistry. I don't have to know where you are. I kind of know where you are even when I haven't seen you yet. You know what I mean? If I run, you know what I'm going to do with that ball. Like that is what you want on a team. That's when teams get fun.
Yes.
Can I encourage you? Value chemistry, therefore build chemistry.
So good.
Chemistry can be taught, and sometimes it can't, but try build it. Build it through hanging out.
Yeah.
Value small talk. Value banter. Value jokes. Value hang time. Value the soft spaces in the beginning and the end of the meeting that aren't about function.
Yep.
Right.
So good.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's good.
Get to know the person and their interests and push comfort. Get comfortable. Say some, like, let a bit of yourself out there. Be vulnerable. Like, do the things that build chemistry. If there is no soul, you don't have a team.
Yeah.
So build chemistry intentionally. Like, some leaders are better at it than others, but like you could learn from different leaders that are great at getting people over their home, or they value doing hangs, or they're good with banter in their meetings, or they know enough about people. My thing is this is my mark with, I don't do it all the time anymore because our teams are bigger, our grow group is massive. I've got 2 grow groups, can't stop myself. I have to do those little things. But like, I do this birthday text thing where like I'll just send you a super long birthday text that says everything I possibly know about you, and I test myself to see if I could make it crazy stupid long. And it's like I say, and it always starts something happy birthday to the, and Maddie would be to the Green Lake loving, Scarlett, walking, Scarlett cleaning after, lemon cupcake making, wakeboard surfing, pasta drowning because she almost did drown me. She dragged me on the back of a boat. And I'll just say everything. You know what I love about that text, why it's meaningful to me, and it's so stupid, but there's not many things I consistently get a lot of praise on, but I always get praise on. Whenever I send someone that style of birthday text, everybody always says, best birthday text ever. And you know why? It just says that over the course of all this time, I've been listening.
It's good.
People want to feel known.
Yeah.
But that means that doesn't happen in the work meeting. I'm not going to know about the little nuances if we're not like bantering and joking. And look, to the high task oriented person, they think that's the wasteful part of the meeting. It's actually the glue that'll hold every other part of the meeting together.
Right.
Yeah. That's good.
Build chemistry.
Can I add something? I think sometimes we think there's no chemistry with someone or with a team member, but I think just check yourself on that, because it may just be an insecurity that you're seeing someone on your team that is a better performer at something than you, and you're probably seeing that as no chemistry, but that's your own thing that you have to deal with. And just know that a high performer or somebody that's highly skilled on your team is only going to make you look better, right? Because it's your team, it's going to excel. So I would just be very careful about how you can almost get that mixed up. I just can't connect with them, or there's just the it factor is just not there. But sometimes it could be that you're just insecure, or you don't think you can lead that person because they're more qualified than you, and you have like a sense of like, how can I lead someone like that? They're so good at this, And it's like, just know that if you're leading the team, you've been commissioned, you've been called to lead that team, and you're more than able to, or incapable to lead somebody that's probably better skilled than you, and that's okay.
And I would say to that, understand that when you want to measure the value, not the value, if you want to measure the success of a worker versus a leader, you could not have more separate metrics. It is chalk and cheese. It is like the absolute night and day difference. A worker is valued on performance, and a leader is actually valued on producing.
Yeah.
That's good.
Producing leaders, producing culture, producing outcomes, producing health. That's what a leader is. So if you go from a worker and then all of a sudden you're leading workers as a worker, you're getting outworked and you're like starting to wonder what your value is. The amount of times I elevate people in our team and they start to get lost is huge. The first initial conversation is someone taking my job? It's like, yes, they are.
Yeah.
Correct. They're taking your job. You have a new job. It is to be a leader. It is to produce people. It is to produce culture. It is to produce values. It is to produce vision. It is to produce results. Not be a worker that is measured by what they do. If you want to transition from worker to leader, you have to understand they're two different things.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, 4, styles of meetings. I think help your people locate where they are and learn how to behave accordingly, so to speak. Lack of better way to kind of put that, but I was thinking of my children. Like our children, we set them up. Like we kind of go, hey, we're going into like a guest house, because we took them to a guest house once, and it was during pandemic, so they hadn't been out of the house for a minute. And someone had us over, and it was just crazy. They were running wild, talking nonstop. I can do this, And I was like, we just realized, okay, you haven't left the house. Actually, years. And you're like freaking out here. But like, we were like, okay, we're at that stage. We've got to talk. We're going to this person's house, and we turn into a ventriloquist. And I'm like, don't you ever. And like, they're like, okay, all right, we're going. And then, hey, this is family, and then this is work. We're going to be a bit quiet here. You can be on your tablets. We set them up for the environment they're in.
Yeah, wow.
And then even when I was learning how to train Mav, they were saying like, before you start asking commands of a dog, you can't go from playing fetch to then commands, like prep them that they're going to go. If you're going to walk them in Home Depot, take 3 minutes to give them some sit commands, some down commands, help them switch to the place they're going to be. Now,
So good.
you have to have a team in the nature of agility that can take feedback in any moment, right?
Yeah.
But on the theme of building someone, help them know what is a meeting where we're strictly getting down to business. This is a meeting where I'm actually going to build you, and this is just a hang catch up, and this is how I personally do it. Okay, hang catch up. Anything goes. It could eventuate into being deep. It cannot. The only thing that usually doesn't happen in a hang catch up is work. But I don't call it work to build you. I don't call it work to pastor you, and I don't call it work to hear about what's going on in your life. That's not work. That's part of friendship and relationship. So that first one, everything goes except for work. Now, I'm not like legalistic with it, because work, I love what we do, and it doesn't drain me. So you can sneak in a conversation here and there, and then we usually like, oh yeah, table it, and we go somewhere else on it. But that hang is great. That's also like less formal. If like some of the guys are over and stuff, like I'm not always called Pastor Chris, you know what I mean? Like it's weird to me. Like I don't need that all the time. Like sometimes we're just playing soccer. Even if someone hits me so hard on a soccer field, I'm like, we're playing sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't leave the church when I hit you back. But like, it's just part of it. So that's that one, right? Then I do something called a development session. Dev sessions is we dive straight in. My people all know that a dev session is we are going to develop either something personal within you. You know, it might be pastoral care oriented, because healthy people are good at what they do. It might be character wise. It might be a mentality wise. Like, okay, let's change the way you're thinking about this, or hey, I've noticed you break down in meetings when some pressure hits. Let's dive into this. Where's this come from? Is it childhood? Is it what's going on? Like, let's get you going. You know, my job as a leader, as a coach, I'm here to get you to be able to perform the best, not do your work. So I spend my time making sure you're good.
Yeah.
And that's what a dev session is. So I'll sit with like someone and I'll be like, okay, so let's talk through that. Or it might be, okay, I've noticed this skill is lacking. I'm teaching you in moments, but I need to teach you differently. Let's write some things on the board. Let's put some outcomes out there. Let's put some things that you're going to be aiming at. Let's do a dev session. Here's the key to a dev session. What I have found is, for years this would happen to me, and it happens to many others, is you would be like, hey, did you go talk to that person about this? And they're like, yeah, I took them for coffee. First, no, that's not going to work straight away. And then it's like, well, did you get to talking to it? Oh, well, no, because we only had an hour, and, you know, you start talking, and it's like small talk, and then, you know, you want to ask, because I know I'm going to be hitting something pretty deep in them, I don't want to just go in for it, and it's like, and then before you know it, you basically left, you gave them a Hallmark card, you bought them lunch, and you did nothing. Like, you did nothing. And the problem is, the poor person still doesn't know how to get their job done.
Yeah.
Right.
And no, they feel it just as much as you feel it.
Yeah, it's so true.
So what I started to do was like, no, this is, so I always tell people, hey, we're going to do a dev session, and just come ready with what you think you want developed, and I'll also come with what I might want to develop, and we'll see where God leads us, and it's 45 minutes. They come in, I'm like, hey, how are you? Good, awesome, good week? Yep. All right, done. Let's jump straight into it. So what did you want to have developed today? We've got 45 minutes on the clock. Let's get moving. We're there to develop something. We're not there to like, and it's not because we already have chemistry, remember, but we're deving something.
Yeah.
And they know what they're in for. There's no, oh, he didn't care for me. No, you know we care. We're doing a dev session.
Yeah.
And it's apt, it's fair. It's, you know, if I'm going to have a tough conversation, I let someone know, hey, we need to meet. I'd like to go through something. I need to talk to you about something that has come up on my radar. Or something I've noticed. And then when I'm in that room straight away, I go, hey, thanks for coming. I really want to get to the same page today. I need you to help me because I need to understand some things I'm seeing that I think are stunting you and hurting us. That's my little phrase. It's not, how are you, are you good? Like, it's out of touch for what we're about to talk about. So I can't go like, how was Green Lake? By the way.
Right.
Like, you know, it's just like, how's Isa? Can't, like, it just doesn't always fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So styles of meetings matter, and then also knowing, like, all right, when are we getting stuff done meetings? Like, this is a work meeting, like, whatever it might be. I just think by you labeling them clear in your head, if you can label a meeting, you're going to get closer to getting the right outcome of a meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. Great.
So, styles of meetings are portions of skill to move people. Here's another cultural and value and maybe habit-oriented skill set thing is this quick feedback.
Yeah, it's good.
People live in two different possible realms with this. I know where I live. I know what I think about where I live in this and what we've built in People Church. If nothing else, this is People Church culture and it is quick feedback, and this is why. I used to preach when I first started learning how to preach, and every Sunday the ideology of my pastor was, and it's fair, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just I don't like this personal ideology, so I haven't built it. Nothing wrong with it. If you love it, build it in your own workplace, but in our church is how we do it. So People Church is home, this is how we want you to build teams. It's quick feedback. So I would go preach on Sunday, and then I'd hear, well done, great. And then Wednesday or Thursday, I'd be called into the office and debriefed all the things that needed to change. Now, that's fair. Like I said, it's a good thing. The only thing is what it did was two major things for me. It created a incongruency with the authenticity of the feedback. So good job no longer meant good job.
Right.
It was good job until you hear, or if you hear anything else. So then I didn't really feel like I did a good job until Friday.
Yeah.
And that was if we were in a week
Right.
where we could catch each other. But sometimes you can't catch each other. And so now it went 2 weeks, and now you're going 2 weeks getting feedback thinking you killed it, and you might just get that feedback before you have to get up again.
Right.
no space to process it.
Yeah.
It
right.
just lacks congruency for my liking.
Yeah.
The second major problem, it's just not fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was done well. It was like, here's what you did great, but here's what you need to fix. But like in the moment, it was so much better. So I wanted to eventually get to a place where when I heard good job, I could celebrate that message and go, now there's always something to fix, but you know what I mean? So quick feedback for me creates a secure culture. What does that really lead into? It means if nothing's been said, there is nothing to say. That is the ultimate treasure
Yes.
statement
that's so
that you
true.
want to work towards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good.
If people could look at you as a leader or as a friend, or even,
Yeah.
can I even just cross over to marriage?
Yeah.
Can I just say, marriages can be difficult because sometimes you're like, the same as raising kids, is it worth the fight? Is it worth the possible fight? Is it worth the conversation? I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
It always is.
Yeah, come on.
Because if you can say this, if nothing's been said, there's nothing to say, that is such a breathe easy, secure, good environment. Everybody knows where they stand. The feedback is always when someone needs to hear it. Now, look, I think I'm pretty good at this, but I could always get better at this. And it's not a thing I ever preach that I'm not yet on a journey of improving. All I'm saying is strive for quick feedback. Hey, that was great. Let me give you 3 quick tips. Man, so awesome. Man, keep nailing it.
Come on.
Well, it's just done.
Yeah.
Packaged. We don't have time to create. Please don't do this. Don't create meetings for things that deserve moments.
Come on.
Don't busy yourself up. I've challenged a few people on our team and I've been like, stop doing this. I ask you if you've spoken to someone and they're like, yeah, I'm speaking to them in a week. I'm like, now. You don't have a week. You mean if they're doing something, you've just taken 3 weeks, you've
Right.
prolonged their growth by 3 weeks. So like quick feedback creates secure environments where people breathe easy, know where they stand, and they build trust, and they also give feedback with context. One of the hardest things as time passes is you can't remember the context anymore, and you can't give clarity.
That's good.
Yeah, I can't exactly remember what you said, but you said something along the lines, I'll have to think about that.
Right.
That's good.
I even recently got caught up in one of those. I'm like, crap, Chris, you're violating your own rule. Like, quick feedback. It's important. Okay, 6. Vision is a line that needs to be held.
That's good.
As a leader, make sure you're setting vision, all right? But we're going to put that to the side. This is more about developing and helping someone with their personal vision. Now, their personal vision, obviously, if you're leading and aligns with the corporate vision of what you're leading towards, assuming so, vision is a line that needs to be held means this. Find out their vision and hold them accountable to it.
So good.
That's, I think, my number one goal. If I lead you, your vision's in line with where we're going. I want to know your vision and I'm going to hold you to it. I don't need you to live at that vision if you don't want to. Tell me the new vision, and as long as you're not always changing vision, then that's the vision. I'll lead you to that. I'll keep you accountable to that.
Yeah.
I once had a guy I was leading, and he kept telling me he wanted ministry, but his actions were saying he wanted business. He was conflicted, and we went back and forth, and over time it caused a bit of a rift. You could feel that the meetings were no longer easy. There was a tension. If I asked how are things going, what's new, there was almost like a hesitation to ask. He had not verbalized that his actions were different to his vision, but he knew his vision. Everyone knows the vision. It's like saying, I'm never gonna wear purple again, and then you show up in purple, you feel a little bit like, is there anything in the wash? You know, like, go explain yourself. We just intrinsically know the things we've said,
Yeah.
the things we're not doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so one day as we were driving to a youth camp, I just said, listen, stop. I just need to say this. I hope you know, I don't care if it's a ministry or business. But I do think that as my role to be your leader, you need to tell me your finish line of vision, and it's my job to lead you accordingly.
Yeah.
So if it's not on this youth team and it's a businessman, fine, we change the cadence of our meetings, we change the content of our meetings, but I need to know.
Yeah.
Because if I think you're running here and my job is to get you there, you're going to feel like I'm pulling you in a direction you don't want to be.
Yeah.
So either we change the line or you change the way you're running.
Right.
But one of those things has to change.
Yeah.
Vision is a line that must be held. I say this for a lot of people. I think there's a lot of growth left on the table with a lot of the leaders in our church at the moment. Because a lot of people have said vision without actually being accountable to their words.
Wow.
Let's go.
There's a lot of people saying, I want to be a youth pastor, but you're not showing up.
Come on.
A lot of people saying, I want to be a preacher that haven't written messages, or conversely, only written messages, and haven't lived messages
Yeah.
by serving hard, building teams, loving people, and doing the things you got to do.
Yeah.
And if people keep telling you a vision that they're not running for, and you're enabling that, you are basically letting them run towards a cliff and not telling them it's a cliff.
Yeah. Come on.
They can't keep telling you they want ministry, but keep acting like they want comfort.
It's good.
And the beauty of it is this. I love this because it's my greatest source of feedback where I feel the most comfortable because I'm not holding you to my vision.
Right.
Right.
I'm holding you to yours.
Yeah, that's good.
You said you want this. Now, if I got it wrong, we don't have to keep meeting. I don't need you to be the leader you don't want to be. I don't, I'm just trying to be integrous to what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be it, just tell me. I'm good.
Come on.
And usually what you'll find is people are not really struggling with their vision, they're struggling with the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
And what it does is by asking that question and putting it in front of people all the time, you're basically saying, you tell me when you don't want this anymore, and I'll give up on it as well.
Come on.
Come on. That's very good.
So good. Well,
Number 7.
I know, slow down for a second. Here we go.
And this is the second last and kind of starts to cap things off well, and it is this: build a calling, not a worker.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
There is an art to helping someone build their calling, not a worker. I wonder if, as I'm even speaking this, are you realizing that maybe the depth and the authenticity of your conversations with your team is lacking? Because we've spoken some pretty deep things here, in essence, because we're really talking, and what I mean by deep, they're at the core of the real person that you're leading. It's their core desires, it's their core aspirations, you're touching on the things that God's maybe deposited dreams and the Holy Spirit's given direction on, and you're going in on those things and you're developing those things. Maybe what you're realizing in hearing this today is I'm not really asking deep, profound, or real questions that move someone. That's what I mean by build a calling. Not your calling, build a calling in someone. Do they know how to build a calling? Well, here are some ingredients of a calling. Help them build the concept of cost. Do you understand cost? Help them build the concept of obedience. Where does God want you? Not where do you want you. Help them understand the concept of you cannot fail when you put God first.
That's right. So good.
You might fail your metrics, but you'll never fail his, and his will always be more faithful to you and your desires than you could ever be.
Yes.
So good. Yeah.
So help someone build a calling.
So good.
Part of it, helping someone build a calling, is see what they can't see.
Yes.
Look, if they don't have you in their life as primarily a second pair of eyes, a second pair of ears, then what have they got you for?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to hear things they can't hear because they're too broken. You've got to see things they can't see because they're too in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to help them understand. Most of them don't even know that they're gifted. Most people don't know. It's hard to know. In a leadership world, it's even harder to know. It's not like playing soccer. I get by you, I did well. You don't tackle me, I did well. I score, I did well. We win, I did well. Preaching, I preach, and it's just this. Or, cool, but no, I don't get,
Right.
success isn't measured in the amount of nods or amens.
Right.
It's actually measured in did they change?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, wow.
And I don't know if they changed.
Yeah.
I don't know if that did that. I don't know if I'm a good speaker or not, because sure, I can be funny, I can be this or that, but did you change?
yeah.
Come on.
Is this resonating?
Right.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
a thing. So,
Right.
you know, you've got to, in a world that people can't see these skills, do you
Yeah.
see them?
Yeah.
Do you see their future? Do you call it out repeatedly, even when they don't, even when they run? For years I would meet with Gio, years. I remember often at different times, and he had different careers at some of the major meetings we'd have, and he'd try all of them. He'd actually tell me the one before. I'd be like, I think you called the ministry, I think I also like. And then he'd go and get that job, or get promoted, or maybe pursue it, and then be like, all right. And I just keep speaking it because I see it.
Wow.
Our gift as leaders is discernment and finding gold.
That's good.
That's our gift. That's our gift, is seeing in people what they can't see for themselves. When was the last time, and I still do this, I've got 3 minutes. I went up to someone and recently I said, you're one of the best worship leaders I see. I want to know why you're not pushing to be a worship leader. They said something profound. I said, maybe you need to go to God on that. I don't know where it stands yet, but it's the practice of digging. I think one of the best things about getting gold is the process of digging, agitating, and sifting.
Yeah.
You pan, you agitate, sifts, and you take the gold. If you're not agitating people by believing in them,
Right, come on.
by seeing more for them,
Right.
if you're not agitating status quo and the years of average that have been lumped on them by actually not sifting and digging, you're not going to have leaders.
Yeah,
Right.
Build a calling, not a worker.
yeah.
Don't build skill sets alone. Don't build tasks alone. Build a
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah.
Help people know they're made for more. I want you to go back with everything I said today. I don't know, you have your favorite Staffies probably. This has been mine.
Come on.
I want you to take this Staffy and ask yourself, have I lived this with every single person on my roster?
Very good.
And my last thing is this. No, I'm going to leave that one off. I feel led to leave it off. So, build a calling, not a worker. That has been my favorite Staffy.
Come on.
And I hope that helps you with some skill sets to both develop yourself. Aud and I have used these same practices with our children and finding it that we need it more as they're older and more, this applies to them more. It's no longer peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and diapers, it's deep conversations and we're drivers. Driving them everywhere. And so anyway, hope this helps. And man, I love doing what we do. Please don't ever lose the awe.
Yes.
When the believers build a community, that we're in awe of all the things that God is doing.
Right.
We are living in unprecedented days, the days we've dreamed
Come
of.
on.
Salvations and packed houses in the summer. Great stuff happening.
Yes.
Love you, couldn't do it without you. I don't know if you think that because you don't know that we know your name, or even if we don't, I don't need to know your name. You know who needs to know your name? The person you're meant to reach on Sunday.
Come on.
They need to know your name more than anyone. And they need you to know theirs because we're an extension together. So thank you. Appreciate you. Have a great week. Keep believing for big things and we will see you Sunday, guys.
There you go.